Wagwan to all your lovely little faces. I am the Bibby, here's my face, and this is the Poet Warriors. Back at you again with another little voice acting 101 series. Since you guys seem to be liking it, a lot of aspiring voice actors out there. Today I would like to talk a little bit more about the physical setup of your voice acting, voice-over setup. Because it's important. And there's different degrees to this, okay, as well. So this video is going to be very much kind of a beginner's viewpoint, a beginner's standpoint, or maybe like, I talked about, we already did a beginner's guide, so maybe this is like the next step, right? Maybe you've just landed your first few gigs, you've been doing it for a week or two. How can you move on? How can you move further? Then we're going to go into an intermediate step, which ultimately I'm going to be bringing you guys in on something pretty cool fairly soon. So we've talked about the mic, right? You want a physical mic. Podcasts mic are typically very good, anything for fine. We've talked about this Blue Yeti. I personally use it's actually not Helga for once. There's Helga. For fine, Blue Yeti, Audio Technica, I think, started doing mics now. Hey, psst, nope. Already sorry about that. Helga was barking like a madman, so I cut that. There's gonna be a cut. Forgive me. Forgive her. She know not what she do. Anyway, so we're talking about the mics. You can look up any guide on YouTube, Reddit, the internet, just, specifically for what you want to do, voiceover work, character work, podcasting, music, you just look up top 10, top 5 mics under your budget, and then you can go from there, and you can't really go that wrong. Now, what we're going to talk about more is like the other physical stuff that you're going to need, right? So, a mic, number one, I would recommend a mic arm. You can obviously start with the mic on your desk in front of you. You don't want to hold it. You want it kind of fixed. I would recommend a mic arm. There's various different types of mic arms you can get. You can get high profile mic arms and low profile mic arms. I personally like low profile mic arms. High profile mic arms, I'm going to post the picture here. This is an example. So ones that come up and kind of down. I don't like them. They're always in the way, and they cover like part of your field of view of your monitor. It's just not for me. It's a lot of people prefer it. Depends what kind of computer setup you're rocking with, laptop, whatever. I like these low profiles that kind of come down up instead of up down. So at least they kind of come across from you and up instead of like this across your kind of field of view, It also, for me, provides more flexibility with how I can sit myself, right? Like, if you've got, like, one coming up, like, yeah, that's probably then you just don't have it set up, but I feel like you're kind of working around it, whereas a low-profile one, you can kind of just move to you, if that makes sense. A mic arm, again, those companies all do mic arms. There's a bunch of them. Again, you can just look up, like, best for your budget mic arms. You do want to spend there, I would say. I personally have the Elgato low-profile mic arm, which costs around 110 euros. You don't have to go that far, but I would spend more than 50 on one. Because this is equipment that is going to last you a lifetime. If you go all the way plus, like 100 plus, it's going to last you a lifetime. But with the cheaper ones, there's less maneuverability and more creakiness. So, like, that's all captured in the mic. You can't adjust it to exactly where you are. It's not going to last you very long. And when you do find a position, like, it's going to be, Allen keys or twisty knobby thingies, chances are they're not going to stay in that position very well. So I would recommend, there's a couple of things you want to spend the money on. Mic, within reason, you want to spend kind of, I would say, if you want to make this a profession, at least start with $100 or like a little over $100. The 60 to like 80 ones, you can find some. Sure, you can find some, but you're gonna grow out of those very quickly. and the mic arm. Those are the two things that I would at least kind of hit the $100 mark for. Not necessary. Well, the mic arm is necessary because it gets it off the table right to your face, which brings on to the next kind of thing. How far should your mic be away from your face? And then I'm going to come back into what I was just about to say. Typical unit of measurement is a fist, right? If your mic's here, you want to have a fist away from your nose, not like right up here, right? But like a fist away from like where your nose is kind of sitting to the mic, right? Which will differ depending on if you have a pop filter, which I suggest you do. It just depends whether, we talked about this in the last one, it depends whether or not you have a physical pop filter, which is like a sock that goes over the microphone. If you have one of those, chances are it came with the mic, which a lot do. If you don't, then you would get like a mechanical pop filter, which is basically like a little pop filter on a little arm that you just clip to the mic or your mic arm or whatever, and you put it in front of your face. I'll put a picture of my setup so you guys can kind of see. So you can see I've got my mic arm, I've got my mic on the arm, and then I've got a mechanical pop filter that is clipped to the mic arm, and then over there. So the pop filter, you kind of want to get, again, leave maybe a couple of fingers between that and your mic, and then from me personally, instead of putting a fist from my mouth to my mic, it's a fist from my mouth to, or my nose line to my pop filter, which obviously that's kind of like a ballpark statement for like narrational purposes, where you kind of want a consistent voice. But as you get into character work and things like that, you are going to end up moving further and closer away. Like when you're talking like quieter, maybe you're talking a little bit intimidating like this, you're going to get closer to that mic so it can pick you up better. When you're louder, you're going to get further away, you know, and depending on voices, accents, yada, 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 yada. But that's more skill work, which we're going to get into. This is about physical stuff. Next, depending on how much you trust yourself and how much you're going to be banging your desk, using your hands, as you know, I'm a very handsy person. I don't personally have one yet. I intend to get one, but a shock absorber. A shock absorber is what your mic would sit into. Like it's like a housing for your mic on your mic arm. So that would be, you know, instead of mic arm, mic, it would be mic arm to a shock absorber, and then your mic sits and attaches into that shock absorber. Just stops any vibrational sounds, any kind of unwanted movements. Again, if you maybe bash your mic arm a little bit, or you know, flick your mic, sure, bigger bashes are still gonna catch, but it just maintains that consistency and less error, chances of error, right? Sorry about that, guys, more barking. So we talked about mic, we talked about mic arm, pop filter, shock absorber, right? Next thing you want to talk about is eliminating background noise. Those ones in the distance are going crazy. I can't do anything about those, sorry. Jesus. Last thing you need to talk about, so that's the physical equipment, other than yourself, that you need to bring, and a computer to record on, which we've talked about recording, in a previous video. And I also mentioned, he's coming through the fence right now. Look at her go. Look at her go. You can do it. You can do it. Let's go. We've talked about. There she is. There she is, my little one. We talked about like how to record, what software to use, and we also talked about background removal noise digitally, right? Which Helga's now no longer here. Which I was going to try and show you guys. We talked about in the last video. Adobe Enhance, Adobe Podcast. You can do it for free, but if you're doing this professional, you probably want to get the premium version so you can do it to more files and also adjust the sliders so it's not overexposed. We talked about this before. But you want to use that to remove any background noise, any white noise from your setup, from your surroundings, what have you, right? For me personally, the white noise that I deal with is from the fans from my computer. So there's that small white noise hiss from my setup itself. So, how can you go around this? How can you get around this? Which you do definitely want to do. One is digitally, like I just said, audio enhance. Two is physically, right? By having a voiceover booth. And you might be saying, well, Bibby, that sounds awfully expensive and a lot of hard work. It don't be. It don't be. Sure, you can take it to that top end where you're going to spend thousands of dollars on a booth. Maybe one day you want to get there, a room in your house, whatever, sound paneling, all that jazz. Maybe one day you want to get there if you're making, if you're successful and you're making 5, 6, 7, 8 grand from this a month or whatever, proper wage, high wage. Or if you are just trying to seem really, really professional, you're doing movies, things like that, then you'll want those. But baby steps, and this is the first step. Number 1, you can make your own little temporary vocal booth in your home with household things. And I have a picture I'm going to show you. And this is important because, sure, doing it digitally with audio, with Adobe Enhance, like I said, it will get you started, but you want to move away from that because your voice sounds overexposed. And when you're doing things like character work, it becomes very difficult because it's not a perfect solution yet because it uses AI to remove the sound. So sometimes the AI removes too much. It removes more than you want, right? So when you're laughing, those kind of loud kind of things, laughs don't capture well. Sometimes accents, grunts, moans, screams, those kind of things won't capture in there. It's very good for like narration. If you're doing like audio booking, narrating things, some character work is fine. But like when you're getting into, kind of cartoons, shows, whatever, animation things, you're going to struggle with that. So you want to eventually move away from that. Plus, as I said, your voice comes out overexposed, which actually kind of kills some of the sound quality. Like, for example, my mic sounds better than it does raw. It sounds better raw than it does enhanced, right? My voice sounds better, more emotional, that kind of thing. So you want to move away from that, and to do that, it's to eliminate the background noise physically, right? So you can do something like this. This is like a little temporary one that I've been using from time to time for character work. Otherwise, I use digitally for like narrational stuff, like I said and stuff. All this is literally a duvet and a blanket, right? Which everyone's got a duvet and a blanket. You just kind of want to hide yourself in under it, surround your mic with it, and this actually works very well at reducing that white noise. Obviously, the more layers, the better it's going to be. You can do the same, like if you've got like a pole, a mic stand or whatever, you can just put yourself around it, that kind of thing. I kind of put mine over my monitor and over my chair, so it's like a little hut. Humble beginnings, right? Where you can go from there is for literally $200 tops, you can build yourself your own little framed walk-in vocal booth, which I'm actually about to make, and I'm going to make a complete video tutorial on how to make those, which is essentially just like a boxed frame that you can walk into with like sound blankets and things like that, and I'm gonna do a whole tutorial on that. So that's a good way to get started before you can afford something like a proper booth. I'm gonna show all of that. I'm gonna show some more equipment you can dive into, but that's like the beginner side of things. We can move into the intermediates. I'm kind of saving that video for when I build my vocal booth very soon. So stay tuned for that. Hope you're enjoying this Voice Acting 101 series. Keep cracking at it, and I'll see you guys later.
Tasty.